Or is it slowing down?
Okay. Sam, right there.
This thing is shut off now?
It is off.
Yeah, it is slowing down.
Okay. There
Okay.
you go.
Ready? 3, 2, hit.
Wow.
Okay. Ready?
Welcome back to another episode of
Yeah, yeah.
Talk 21.
No, it's this guy. It's
3,
like
2.
Welcome back to another episode of Talk 21. It's your host, Sam Genova, alongside my co-host.
Kermit the Frog here. Okay, let's start again.
No, that's good.
No,
David
it's
VD.
really good.
All right.
No, I'm David VD from Century 21 Fine Living.
So, Century 21 Fine Living, you got a bone to pick, I think.
No bone to pick. It just
Tell me about that bone. What are we talking about this episode?
Oh boy, we
You
going
want to
there?
talk about the representation agreement?
We can talk about like how like the market in general. Everybody's like becoming very frugal, and their information is readily available. And I'm finding that people are reluctant to be go under contract with agents. They're trying to do a lot of the work on their own, and they're using a bunch of these apps out there, and not even so much apps, like even websites like Zolo, House Sigma, and the information's there for them, and they're looking for real estate trades to happen on their own. But they still lean on us, right? And at that point, that's when you say, look, if you want to work with us, you need to contract, and that means making sure they understand their agency relationships and what we're gonna do, and the remuneration, who's paying for what, and so on and so forth. I don't know if you've been seeing it, but I've seen it become more of a topic about buyers coming to agents direct to get deals done in hopes to save the commission that their agent, if they had proper representation, would get paid. So I don't know. Have you seen some of that happening?
I mean, it's been a part, of the industry ever since probably, before our time. But I just, with all the liability that comes along with, representing two people in the same trade.
Yeah, it's a problem. It could be a problem.
It's a problem. I mean, it's
Is it a conflict of interest?
No, it's not a conflict of interest. We can multiple represent. There's also different types of agencies, but we're specifically talking about agents representing two parties, which is multiple representation. Whether you're the agent or a designated agent for the same brokerage, it's still the liability is you're representing two parties to the transaction, which is totally. We can talk about that forever also and what we can and cannot do, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just more talking about assuming that we're doing everything 100% as realtors. There's still a liability, like we're representing.
But this is going to come out more and more, especially now that more realtors are not working as much as they were. Aren't they going to take these deals because they need to stimulate themselves? Because some of them are not even making any deals a year.
yeah.
Well, I'm not saying, that's the whole thing. Whether it's something that's going to happen more often or not, the problem is I'm finding that buyers realize this might be a thing, that they can maybe go ahead and deal with the agent that's listed the property. But sometimes I don't think they fully understand the risk that we as agents and brokerages have to take on to represent both parties. So when we're representing both parties, we have liability to both parties or both our clients. So we need to make sure we're doing the transaction right. And in an ideal situation, everybody should benefit from this type of transaction where, yes, maybe there will be a discount in commission because the agent is now representing both parties. But like the fact that a buyer might come and say, I don't want you to get paid any more than what you would normally get paid on a one-sided deal.
That's where you have to put your foot down.
Put your foot down or make sure they understand. Like if you're solely coming to use me because you're going to save hypothetically 2.5% that we would pay to another cooperating
You're
broker.
basically coming to use me.
You're coming to use my services so that you can only benefit, like nobody else is benefiting.
So
I don't.
could you do this? Could you do this? Could you say to them, all right, look, here's what we can do. You can save money, but I'll bring on my associate agent, and instead of you paying 5%, you do 3%.
There's associate agent or designated agent like that works in our brokerage and ourselves. It doesn't matter.
Sam, for example.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're still multiple representing because we're still from the same brokerage. So it doesn't matter how many agents from my brokerage work on this file. We are all the same entity. We're Century 21 Fine Living. We're representing now both the buyer and seller, and there's an extreme liability that we're taking on.
So you say you don't like it. Do
I-
you like it?
It's not
No,
about liking.
So
It's,
I think again, there's different relationships you can have. I think one-on-one being where Dave's going with this, the buyer and the seller representing the same client, which you have to stay very neutral, and it's challenging, more challenging, I would say, to work a DLO.
And-
where a lot of the times what happens in these situations is if I have a listing and I'm not feeling comfortable with the situation, I'll pass it on to another agent from the office and say, you
Right.
deal with them.
But-
So Dave technically represents the buying side of it, and I represent my seller.
but we're still
But we're still multiple
representation.
representation.
So we still have to be careful.
Representation is different.
Yeah, we still have to be very careful. The last thing, the biggest thing about this is like there's buyers that will come to us and specifically say, look, I'm not going to bring my own agent. I want to save that 2.5%.
Yeah, I tell those people to take a hike straight out.
Well, I don't know.
I'm not doing it.
Really?
I'm not doing it. No.
You're not doing it.
I'm not. No.
I-
Go get your agent, bring your agent, and have the liability on the agent. I'm not going to do it. For what? What's the benefit?
The only benefit like that.
If they still want to buy the house, they'll bring their agent.
No, but then the flip side to this whole argument is your client, the seller, you might be pushing away a possible buyer because he doesn't want you to earn that extra 2.5%.
No. I understand what Sam is saying. If they still want to buy, they're gonna
Yeah.
find themselves an agent.
Okay, let's draw the numbers out for us. Okay, so now we have $1 million listing. I'm sorry, $1,050,000 listing. Your client wants to get $1 million because hypothetically we're charging 5%. So that's $1 million in his pocket after he pays a $50,000 commission.
Mm-hmm.
If this buyer says to you, I don't want you to pay another agent. I want to save that 2.5%. I'm going to bring you an offer for $1,025,000, right? And your client's going to net out the same, and you're going to earn hypothetically the 2.5%. In essence, you've successfully sold your client's property, and you've multiple represented, and it's been done correctly. But the problem is the only one that's benefiting is the buyer,
Exactly.
and which is great in a roundabout way because your vendor got out of the deal, you represented the seller properly, but we're literally doing double the work, and we are literally exposing ourselves to a major liability, which people have to recognize that, and unfortunately some people will choose to do that to get the deal done, especially with a softer market. And we're making ideally our clients happy that are the vendors who are our repeat clients and that are really the ones that we were originally introduced to doing trades with, right?
They're the most important.
So that's that they're both important, but the initial one would be the seller because he's the one that we've been working with forever, and hopefully we've gained a relationship with this new buyer. But the problem is, I feel like buyers are becoming more like they understand the process and they don't realize how much more we're putting ourselves on the line. So because that buyer, if something goes wrong, like hypothetically, they don't get the financing, or the house they sold with another agent, maybe because they didn't call on you and they didn't give you that business, may have done a mistake and they can't close. Hypothetically, whatever might happen, when things don't work out and they're looking for remuneration to go after somebody, we're going to be in the line of fire too, because whoever they can go after, they'll go after.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is, we don't know you. Buyers that are doing this to us, we don't really know you. So why would we take the chance in dealing with a possible scenario that we're just not comfortable with?
But you're taking this as a one-sided deal, and I'll tell you why. Because all right, you do a multiple representation. You do more work for the same amount of money.
Exactly.
But doing this multiple representation could lead to more work.
It's 100. No, not maybe. It's 110% more work.
So then why wouldn't you commit to that, knowing that down the road, very shortly down the road, you're going to have more work with more money coming in?
Like with a new buyer.
With the new buyer.
You
Yeah,
would think.
you would
would
hope.
think that. You would hope that.
But
would
isn't
be
that
the
normally what happens?
No, because sometimes they've sold with another agent.
Yeah, like imagine this gentleman, this party comes to you, said, I already sold my house with my agent, but I don't want to bring this agent to this trade on your listing because I don't want him to get paid. I want to save the 2.5% that you're gonna pay him. I want to save it. So you want to use me to represent you in the sale of my listing, which now I'm in multiple representation. And all I know, the only reason why you're using me is because you want to save the money. So that's great because I can still hopefully sell my client's house in a downturning economy where it's a bit softer. But the point I'm making is if you don't feel comfortable working with this person because of the way the approach is, and like just you, sometimes we just don't connect with buyers or sellers. You need to decide if it's worth your time and if it's worth having that possible liability.
I think you're answering this though because you're a seasoned vet and you've been in the industry long enough. You have your clientele. What about if you're 1 year into the real estate game and you're trying to get work?
Even more so that you shouldn't touch it, because if you're not seasoned and you don't know how to do this
How to
properly,
handle it, yeah.
You're gonna
You're
kill yourself.
definitely
you're gonna
you're definitely
definitely
gonna
cause,
screw something
like
up.
if you're working in a mindset of panic to make a commission check in
the
this
worst
business,
mindset.
you might not know how to do this properly. Multiple representation and full disclosure and dealing with the trades back and forth on that scenario, you need to be very careful, especially because you don't even know the buyer.
It's a complex deal.
It's very complex. You just met the buyer. You don't know who they are. So if you're not feeling comfortable, I know we all have to sell homes for our clients, especially if the market's a bit softer, and we know we need to earn some commissions, to put food on our tables. But you literally need to be careful, because if you're not feeling comfortable, it's all in your gut. If you're not feeling good about something, you just don't do it.
All right, ready? I'm gonna set up a scenario here, Sam.
Yeah.
I come to you.
Yep.
Same exact scenario as Dave is talking about. The only kickback to that is I come to you and say, look, I had a really bad experience with a previous realtor. I know that you're not really making that much more money because, I'm asking you to do a job of 2 people. But my experiences were really bad and I heard great reviews about you. Now what do you do?
Well, I mean, I respect you being honest and telling me that, give me a little bit of background, but also if you respect and hear about how great I am, why aren't you allowing me to earn what I
The 2.5,
Yeah.
2.5.
Well, the point
The same
that's
point.
the point is, though, they don't even know really what we're paying. Like they don't know
Oh,
what
no, everyone knows. Everyone knows it's a 5%
No,
idea.
Anybody can negotiate the commission. The only part that's definitely advertised is the cooperation portion.
Yes.
Like on the listing, it says we're paying a cooperating brokerage 2.5%,
Right.
2%. So everybody knows that. So now these guys are coming to us and saying we want to not have you earn that because we're not bringing an agent that you're paying. You just want us to do it. So
So they're outright saying we do not want to pay you the extra money, but do the extra work.
They're not
Yes.
pay you. They're not saying pay. They're just saying we know you would pay another agent that I'm bringing on the table to represent me 2.5%. But because I'm going to direct, there's no other agent.
But there's still the work
So,
there.
Yeah. So I don't want you to, I want to save that 2.5%. You know what I mean? Which doesn't even make sense because I am the agent representing you. So I'm doing both ends of the deal, which means I should be getting paid that amount.
That's right.
But again, we need to sell the property. So we need a buyer because sometimes there are no buyers.
So it's hard for me to get an answer out of you guys, to be honest.
It's
I don't know. Where do you guys stand? Are you turning
Look,
this
I
down?
know Sam said no. I say yes still because I need to still sell the client's property. But the point I'm making is if you're an agent not feeling comfortable with the trade and the way the approach is, and every situation is different, you gotta decide whether it makes sense. And I have no problem going to my client who's selling the property and saying, listen, I got this guy, came to me direct, these people, I don't feel comfortable doing this deal. Like, they're asking me to do there's certain things I'm not comfortable doing. It's beyond my comfort level. And then I shut it down.
That's what I would. That's so. I just went. Obviously,
You
I
went
said
to
it
the extreme.
direct.
Yeah,
but obviously, I would have this conversation with my clients and say, "Look,
But some
I don't
agents,
feel comfortable, and if they really want the house, like if you really want a house, but you want to use me and make me feel uncomfortable doing something where it's my liability, they're gonna call their agent,
Exactly.
and they're gonna
If
buy.
they want to make it happen, they'll make it happen.
I'll make it happen.
But
I've never
if-
not had it happen.
but if
because
they are
didn't
good,
use me.
but if they are good, if they seem like viable buyers and they want to save money, that's fine. At the end of the day, you try your best, and if you think they're straight up people, you can do the deal. It's just you got to be wary. You just got to be wary, and we're exposing ourselves, so it's just more happening more often. It's more common, like because all these sites have a lot of information for these end users and these buyers and sellers, so they think they know more, and sometimes algorithms on websites and AI generated information is not everything. You need to talk to an agent. Like,
What about if I go to realtor.ca?
Yeah.
I don't have a representation.
Yes.
I come to the agent that's selling that house
Yes.
and saying, all right, I want to put an offer on this.
Yes.
The first thing you'll obviously say is, are you represented by anyone?
Right.
Yes.
And if I say no, then what?
So that's when we talk about going to look at it. You're gonna have to sign a buyer rep with us at some point, because we're not gonna contract. We're not gonna do a deal without a contract, because we
Exactly.
need
You
we
need
need to
the
protect,
liability.
We need to protect ourselves, protect the deal, and make sure that they don't more, not only for us but even for them, because maybe they've already signed a buyer rep with another brokerage because they don't realize what they're doing sometimes, and so they might already be under contract with another buyer.
How interesting is that?
With another brokerage,
Right.
that might have showed them another property 2 weeks ago, and they put an offer in that property that never panned out, but they didn't realize they signed a buyer rep.
So I'm not allowed to buy a property without a realtor. That's what you're saying.
You can buy you can buy a property without a realtor, but if you're on MLS and you're going to work with a reputable brokerage, a brokerage that's representing a buyer now needs a buyer representation signed at some point. It doesn't need to be
Is that
right.
law? Is that a law?
It's now through our trusted rules and governing us.
How
We
interesting.
need to basically have buyer reps. We have to have contracts in place before we do deals. So at the end of the day, if people are adamant about not signing a buyer rep at all, you have to explain the agency relationships right away, all the different types of agency relationships, and explain to him what he is looking for based on what you hear him telling you. And then when you put pen to paper for an offer on your listing, hypothetically, or any listing, there needs to be a buyer rep signed.
So-
And that buyer rep sign could be exclusively for that unique one property only. It could be for the greater Toronto area. It could be for whatever, but there has to be a buyer rep at the time of signing an offer. So, and that's basically it.
What's that?
Someone walking down the hallway. Just show the hallway in the back.
All right. So to end off this episode, I'm just going to say one thing. And this question is going to be for both of you. And I want both of you guys to answer. Sam, we'll start with you. Do you feel that Realtor.ca and all of these, third-party websites are confusing the market by not explaining to people, we give you the listing to look at, but without a representation, it's not good? Do you feel like these websites are being very vague on how they explain things?
So realtor.ca usually is really good. It's up to date. It's the other websites that you find that, like the Zillows and whatever, they're not really up to date. And if there's like a price drop, I know we got a situation with that. Like the sites are not updated. So
what are you saying?
They're giving you false information. No, realtor.ca.
They're all
legit.
good. Yeah, they're good. They're not.
There's nothing
bad.
wrong with them, but sometimes their information as per realtor.ca, because that comes directly from our portal that we use.
Yeah.
It's a little skewed.
It's
So
skewed.
when we're uploading listings, all these other websites that you see that listing,
They purge that
They're all
information.
purging from what we upload.
Uh-huh.
So what's happening is that's great information, but you got to take it for what it's worth, and you need a realtor to help you navigate through. Because like some of these sites will give you an average of homes in the area, what
That's
this house
right.
should sell for.
Yeah.
But
Like
it's
how
very
about
inaccurate.
how about if the house is backing onto a main street in that subdivision? That's not, the algorithm is not cluing in on that.
It's
How
just
about
an
how about
average.
if there's a catch basin in the backyard with a big huge hole where how about if there's an electrical
A
box?
train passing in the backyard.
Yeah,
Like,
or electrical a fire hydrant in your front driveway. Or
There's
or
all of these
sidewalk-
elements.
Yeah.
A sidewalk that will limit the amount of cars you could park in the driveway. There's a lot of phone calls.
Well, it's a lot of phone calls. Dion is not here today,
no, she's not.
so we're gonna have to wait until it stops ringing. Oh, one ring.
so, yeah.
Fax machine.
No,
That's
I
forwarded.
forwarded. So basically, what I'm saying is the algorithm to get an average price for that pocket is great. It does work, but you still need to. There's more variables.
Very vague information.
Yeah,
So,
like is a
moving
basement
forward-
done? Is a basement done? Is a renovation done 10 years ago, or was it just done last year? Like there's
So
many
for the
things.
people who are listening that are excited for the next episodes, part of the next episodes is going to be what expectations are out there if you go with a realtor, which I just recently did, and how disappointing it can be.
Yeah.
Because it is very misleading. So to roundabout, we need a realtor to represent us properly and not nickel and dime the other side by saying, let me save this, but let me give you double the work. That's essentially what it is.
Kind of. It's just.
Not
It's
kind
just.
of, it's exactly that.
It's more just bringing awareness to the fact that you're out there. We know that you want to save money, and the fact of the matter is, if everybody's being reasonable, everybody's going to benefit. There's no reason why a realtor can't earn a little bit more, multiple representing, but still get everybody.
Last one, Dave. I come to you and I say, not 2.5%, I'll give you 3.5%. Represent me both ways.
in that situation,
Yes.
of course, it's like
Ah.
like we can definitely work on it.
Because
That's
now
what
I'm being reasonable. I'm saying
it's all negotiated.
I don't want to spend 5, but I understand you're going to do more work, but I'll give you 3.5.
Yes, but the point is that's not the point because you as a seller will be paying me, but it's the buyer that wants the full savings.
Oh,
Right?
the buyer is the one looking for
So it doesn't really matter. The point I'm making is when a buyer approaches that way, you explain the scenario better, and maybe this is a lot more information needed. But the fact of the matter is, if everybody's being reasonable, we come to the middle ground. We disclose exactly what we're going to get paid to everybody. Like, you know what I mean? The seller, instead of paying X amount, will be discounted for this much because we got this buyer that we're representing. The buyer will know what we're getting paid in total. So it's all out in the open. And then at that point, we have to come to the middle ground of the purchase price.
Done.
And that's the thing. And so when they're telling us how to do this, when consumers are telling us how to do our job because they don't have representation and how to get to the finish line, that doesn't work. We're in control of the trade. We're in control of the negotiation, and you gotta do it the way we want it done, and because we're gonna do it properly, and we're gonna give everybody the opportunity to come to a middle ground that hopefully makes sense for every party, buyer, seller, and the brokerage.
There you go. Well said.
Whenever you go to your doctor,
Ducks in a row.
you don't question your doctor, right? He's the professional.
Oh, I question him sometimes.
You know, but if he's going to give you his recommendation or give you,
You're absolutely right. His is professional opinion.
Yes.
so you get what you pay for.
So look at your camera, Sam, and start to tell everyone where they can find us.
Find me, Sam Gentleman Real Estate, on Instagram.
And I'm Dave Eady, and I'm at c21fineliving.ca or something like that. I don't know. What is it?
See you the next time.
Yeah, see you on the next episode. Oh, jeez.
What's that? Wow.